How to wholesale in a buyer's market. Guys, it's Rick Ginn, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through the key components of truly being a successful wholesaler in a down market and how you can capitalize it, and more importantly, how you can use leverage with your motivated sellers in a buyer's market. But before I get into it, do me a favor, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button to continue to receive the best up-to-date wholesaling information available today. So let's talk about it. If you haven't heard the memo by now, we are in a buyer's market. And you know what? I want you to understand this. Stop being scared. You are not the person in the buyer's market. You are the cash buyer going out to seek motivated sellers. So while everybody is running scared because they only have one source to get their information from the media is, I'm going to teach you to do the opposite. So everyone's like, oh my God, the market, what do I do? This is your golden opportunity in real estate, specifically wholesaling. You have to take advantage of it. And you've got to do the opposite of what most people are doing. Remember, in wholesaling, we do not do fix and flip. If you want to do that, the wholesaling finds it or we sell it to a fix and flipper. So if you use wholesaling correctly in a buyer's market, you really are limiting your risk, because whoever holds the property the longest in a down market runs the risk of selling the asset at the bottom. In wholesaling, we are selling for today's value and today's value only. And that's the important thing. I'm going to walk you through the key points you've got to understand in a buyer's market. And this is from a guy with 20 plus years experience who went through the most brutal wholesale market back in 2007 to 2011. And I'm going to tell you the key factors that allowed me to survive as a wholesaler. So number one, your cash buyers are your new customers, meaning you guys have spent so much time focusing on motivated sellers, and you still do, but you are going to have to take your resources and time and shift and work with cash buyers. How do you do that? Go meet them for a cup of coffee, find out what they truly need. You need to gather as much intel because the cash buyers are the ones that are driving what the current value of the market is. If you don't believe me, you're going to find out the hard way. You have to spend time with these cash buyers. You guys have been spending 95% of your time with all the motivated sellers and less than 5% with the cash buyers. I get it. A lot of gurus taught you this, but it's not a balanced equation. So now cash buyers really hold the keys because there's more inventory, there's more properties available now than ever, and they're going to go out and find the people that work with them best, the people that give them the least amount of resistance, and the ones who leave the meat on the bones on any type of deals. The problem is it's like a sharp falling knife. Nobody wants to catch it. So this is how you catch it, guys. You go out and spend time with these cash buyers. I'm not talking about hours. 10, 15 minutes, go meet with people and get to know them a little bit better, because the more data you can get from your cash buyers, which is truly your customer now that's driving the heartbeat of this cash buyer's market, you need to understand what they want, how they think, their price points, how they're thinking 6 and 12 months down the road. Guys, this is critical. No one's been teaching this stuff, and I'm here to tell you, get with your cash buyers. They are your customers. So instead of doing 95-5, you're going to have to do 60% with motivated sellers and probably 30 to 40% with your cash buyer. I had to do this back in 09 to 11, and it was painful. I got so confused when it shifted back, and I'm here to tell you we're back to the old days of doing that. And guys, I'm not telling you to become their best friends, and you're definitely not an employee of theirs. But if you do not hear your customers out, you will be out of business in wholesaling. And for that reason, you've got to spend more time with your cash buyers. The next thing is, when you're dealing with your motivated sellers, your inspection periods, your out clauses, your contingencies, whatever you want to call them, your addendums, you've got to build in much bigger margins in that. What do I mean? Instead of 7 to 14 day inspections, which everyone's gotten away with for the last 5 years, you've got to go 30 days plus. Listen to me. You have to go 30 days plus. Now, if you get a smoking deal 30 to 50 cents on the dollar, you can up those numbers because your risk is very minimal. But if you're looking at tighter deals, and I know a lot of you guys are, make sure you have huge contingencies for inspection periods. Why? Number one, it's going to take you more time to find a cash buyer. And number two, you need to find out what your cash buyers need. And number three, this brings me to my next point, is prepare for price reductions. Yes, you are going to have to do multiple price reductions because the market is shifting so rapidly. Sometimes you just get it wrong, or your cash buyers go, I can only pay this amount. You've exhausted your cash buyers. Hey, Rick, I can only pay $150,000. You have it under contract for $155,000. You need to go back and get a price reduction from your seller. And you need to kind of prep them. When the deal's tight, go, listen, I'm going to take a careful look at it on this 30-day inspection, but if it doesn't add up, we're going to have to talk about the price. So preparing for price reductions in a buyer's market is instrumental for wholesalers. And now we're going to start putting verbiage in our negotiations on any deal that we deem tight, meaning they won't take our price. 30-day inspections, and if it doesn't add up to what you said it is, we might have to review the price. See, preparing for a price reduction is much better than like not expecting it and then trying to cram it through at the end. And guys, if you have 30 days inspections, you have plenty of time to meet with your cash buyers. And if you have to do a price reduction, you can do it. Now, guys, do not wait till the last 2 or 3 days to do it. That's why I'm telling you to do the 30-day windows. The next one, you guys, with ARVs, the after repair value, you've got to go with the most conservative numbers. How do you do that? Simply pull your comps. You know, I tell you, if you spend too much time on comps with calculators or you're spending more than 5-10 minutes, you're probably searching to try to match a number, meaning you overpaid for it. So when you do a comps, it's going to be a range. And it's usually within, I like to tighten it up to 5%, but sometimes it's 10%. It's crazy. So if you have a 5 or 10% range, say it was 200 to 220, you are going to pick 200. And honestly, I'm going to knock it down to 190. Okay. I'm going to assume that knife is falling. We're getting price reductions. We're averaging about 1.5 to 2% per month. So guys, understand you've got to use extremely conservative ARVs. Make sure you're on the lower end. So many of you guys have been trying to push the comps the last 5 years. And I'm telling you, it's not going to work in a buyer's market. Use conservative ARVs. My last tip on this, it's just common sense, but I don't know why I have to say it, is you can only buy properties from people that are motivated to get rid of it. No longer can you buy just because you think it's an okay price. That's not going to fly anymore. You are going to get caught if you're using that business model. That has nothing to do with wholesaling. That's pure speculation. Wholesalers buy based on sellers' motivation. The more multiple pain points they have, usually the better opportunity to get a wholesale deal. Guys, we want to help people out. I can't just buy. Remember, price alone is not enough of a motivating factor. The seller has to have motivation. How do you determine this? The seller can't just want to sell it. They need to sell it. And if you can qualify that using government lists and all the techniques we teach you over freewholesaling.com, it's more important now that you only buy deals with high motivation, because that's where the best and deepest discounts is. And that's what we're looking in wholesaling. Let's share some tips on how you can use a buyer's market to really maximize your efficiencies with your motivated sellers. Number one, it's not our job to tell the sellers where the market is. Honestly, the harder you try to sell that story, the more it's going to backfire on you. What do I mean? The truth of the matter is there's enough negative news in the media right now. And unfortunately, most Americans consume a ton of content on the media. They're going to get it. So don't try to convince them of it. You can remind them of it, but you can't convince them of it. Once the seller decides that the market's bad and it's not going to work out, your job gets a little bit easier on the side. But I'm just telling you, do not try to sell it yourself. You can always refer to like media if you watch the news or anything like that. But I'm not a person to say, hey, Mr. Sellers, you know how bad the market is. Sometimes it's going to backfire on you. As each month goes by forward in a declining market, it's going to get easier to convince the seller of the bad news. Remember, prices have been going up for almost 10, 11 years straight. We are now getting a correction. It's important to let them to come to those terms on their own. You're just there to solve the pain points. Number two, understand the best wholesale deals you'll do, especially in a buyer's market, is going to be based on an emotional sale. What do I mean by that? Sellers that are upset in their current situation, maybe they bought a house they couldn't afford, maybe they got a renter that gone bad, maybe a lost a job, whatever it is, it's frustration. And when frustration gets highs, emotions come into decisions. When people make emotional decisions, they just want it solved right then and right there. They don't want no more pain in their life. That is the key in a buyer's market. If you can get emotional decisions made, if people want to sell a property, our job is just to help them facilitate that. I want it to stick. I'm not looking to trick anyone, but emotional decisions are critical in wholesaling in a buyer's market because they want the problem solved now. And that's what as wholesalers we do. How do we do that? We find motivated sellers that want to solve the problem now because they want immediate relief. And that's what we do. So emotional decisions, we're going to let our sellers make it. We're not going to make the emotional decision. We're going to make logical, rational decisions based on our wholesaling model. But if you can find and invoke that emotion and help them out, you will score amazing wholesaling deals. Guys, over over 20 years, I'm telling you, my best deals have always come from the most emotional decisions. They can be challenging, but they are very rewarding. And don't think of this as taking advantage of anyone. You're helping them get certainty right now. And that's what we solve, and that's what we want to deal. In a declining buyer's market, which means there's more inventory than there are buyers, more properties for sale, people have choices. Until that inventory balances out, until they change interest rates on mortgages, buyers have options. And so what happens is sellers compete to sell their properties. Not only do you have everybody fighting on MLS and everything else, is the only way they can sell is do price reductions. That's the only solution real estate agents have for them. Whenever you're dealing with a emotional, motivated seller, understanding them delaying making a decision, you can pretty much guarantee it's just going to cost them more money. Now, I want you to use the media and let them come to that fruition on their own. But you guys can create amazing amounts of urgencies in a buyer's market because prices aren't going up. And on average, they're going down between 1% and 2%, depending on when you watch this video. Whenever they're like, let me think about it, I'll get back to you next month. I go, listen, if you want to, I can only lower my offer at this point. This is going to be the best one. And so I'm going to use that on leverage on having them make a decision. And make sure you front load your meetings in wholesaling. If you don't know how to do that, we have an upfront agreement we teach over at freewholesaling.com. Go over there. I teach you absolutely for free on how to do that. These price drops creates massive amounts of urgency. Remember, before this, people would wait forever, and honestly, their price just kept going up. You are now going to do the opposite. And understanding when someone has to pull back and they want to wait, if they want it to cost them money, you communicate to them your offer might go down most likely, and it's definitely not going to go up. These are tips in a buyer's market that often aren't discussed, but they are critical in your tactical strategy as a wholesaler. So listen, you've waited for this opportunity forever, for the last 10 or 12 years. I know I have. And the opportunity is here. So stop being scared like everybody else and go, man, this is one of the greatest times on earth to buy real estate. Guys, there is no better weapon than using wholesaling. Wholesaling is going to get you the best deals from the most motivated sellers at the deepest discount. I can't stress this enough. You guys are rolling into probably one of the greatest opportunities we've seen in about 10 to 12 years. And I am super excited about it. If you don't take advantage of it, somebody else is. Let me know, are you going to take advantage of this current buyer's market? And are you going to use these tactics I just taught you? I got 20 plus years experience. I know what I'm talking about. You have to pivot. You have to make changes. And remember, as wholesalers, we are not at risk because we don't speculate. If you don't speculate, you can take advantage of a buyer's market. Let me know in the comments if you're doing the same. I want everyone to succeed. If you want to learn more, go over to freewholesaling.com. Do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. This is Rick Ginn, and I'll see you in the next video.